Hey everyone, I'm Johnny Rock. I'm a drummer and a producer, and my new album is called Johnny Rock and Friends for the Record. It's a vinyl LP. My friends and I recorded and mixed entirely on analog tape. We also used an entirely analog mastering process to cut the records. The term mastering gets thrown around a lot when it comes to music, but not a lot of people know what it is. In short, mastering is the last step in the creative process. After all of the songs have been recorded and mixed, you put them in the correct order, balance the volume and tones between the songs, and create a finished master recording. And from that, you can make copies. Our master recording will be 2 lacquer discs that will be used to make metal stampers, one for each side of the record. We'll be cutting our masters using the original mixdown tapes, so the first step is getting all the songs in the proper running order and making sure the gaps in between the songs are just right. Using a computer, this part is easy, but our source is tape, so we have to do it by hand. Been here almost 7 hours already. To create space between the songs, I carefully measure and splice in what's called leader tape. Leader is made of paper or plastic, so it makes no sound as it passes over the playback head. Leader also serves a visual purpose, so we can see where each song starts and ends. Once the songs are sequenced, I take my tape reels to Paul Gold at Salt Mastering in Brooklyn, one of the few remaining places where you can cut a record directly from analog tape. Paul's been cutting records for over 15 years, and he does most of his own maintenance and repairs. So how do we cut a record? Well, with rare exception, a record is cut with one continuous groove from start to finish. Hence, each side must be mastered in real time without interruption. For us, that's over 20 minutes of music in one fell swoop. Just like our handmade recordings and mixes, Paul has to physically change the settings on his console as the tape plays into the lathe. If any mistakes are made, the entire lacquer must be scrapped. And this can get very costly and time-consuming, so at our first session, Paul begins by playing back our master tapes to listen, adjust the sound, and take notes. It's a kind of roadmap for the process. With album sides over 18 minutes, we risk cutting too far into the disc. With loud or bass-heavy content, the groove becomes wider, so the next revolution must be spaced further apart. The depth of the groove is also affected by differences in the left and right channels. The lathe at Salt Mastering is fitted with a special cutting computer. Using a preview of the audio, the computer instructs the lathe how deep to cut the groove and how wide to pitch the next revolution. That way, no space on the disc is wasted. Combined with Paul's expertise, our sides are cut as loud as possible without reaching the center of the disc. So how does the computer know what's coming next? That brings us to the tape machine. This particular machine is extremely rare, and it's one of 3 in Paul's arsenal that can facilitate an all-analog record. It's specially fitted with 2 playback heads and an extended tape path between them. When the tape passes over the first head, the preview signal is sent to the computer. Shortly afterward, the tape passes over the second playback head. This naturally delayed signal ultimately vibrates the cutting stylus, while the computer controls the depth and pitch of the groove. Now, it's entirely possible to cut a record using a tape machine with 1 playback head, but to use a cutting computer, engineers may choose to send a delayed, digital copy of the signal to the cutting stylus. In the 1980s, this became commonplace, and since then, it's been replaced by playing a copy of the master tapes from a digital workstation. So even if you buy a newly pressed record of an old classic, chances are it's passed through at least 1 digital conversion. Now, great-sounding records are cut this way every day in capable hands, but to my ears, there's nothing quite like doing it entirely analog. The result of Paul's work on day 1 is what's called a reference acetate. It's the first time our music is ever put into groove form, and it's amazing to watch. The acetate is actually an aluminum disc coated with a soft lacquer, and it can be played back almost immediately. It's basically practice for the actual cutting, to make sure Paul and I are satisfied with the results. That night I played the acetate back on my turntable at home. It sounds great, just a few changes to be made. So today is the day. Today is the day. We are cutting lacquers for side A, side B for the record. Once they're done, Paul manually inscribes our release number and other text into the dead wax. After that, the lacquers are shipped to Gotta Groove Records in Ohio, and there they're used to make metal stampers that will press around 500 records each. After about 2 months, I finally received test pressings back from the plant. I carefully listened to each pressing, listening for consistent artifacts between them. Ultimately, I approved the test pressings, and the only thing left to do is wait for the records to show up. So thanks for watching. This has been a really exciting and immensely rewarding process. I can't wait for the records to arrive. If you'd like to check out our music, blogs, bios, videos, and more, or buy the record, by now, give us a look at johnnyrockrecord.com. We'll see you soon. Rock on.